All right, so it's year 2013, and my rating increased a little bit since the last time. It was 1950 and change, and now it's 2000, over 2000. And I'm playing Kevin. I'll talk about him in a second. But I was thinking about something when I was preparing this game. So I've just crossed this barrier of 2000, which I think is an important threshold. And it's a mental block, as one realizes when you don't choke and you actually do cross the minimum 2000 barrier for becoming expert. So for those that may not know about the American system, when you cross 2000, you become an expert. When you cross 2200, you become a master. And classes which are below expert, so it's master, expert, class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. I think E is the last one, or F, I might be wrong. But every bucket is within 200 point groups. Okay? So if you continue that ladder, you cross 1800, you become class A, you cross 1600, you become class B, and so on and so forth. So I've climbed all the classes, and I've just made expert. Now technically there's norms as well that no one really cares about, but you can look it up. There's 5 norms, blah blah blah. It's not that interesting. But essentially, if you get to 2000 and if you keep your rating there, everyone says expert, expert, expert. But it's nowhere as fancy as master, which is my next goal in life, I guess. So Kevin actually made master in a couple of years after this game. So not too long after this game, he was already playing very, very well. But this game turned out to be okay. I'm not going to tell you what happened in the end, but if I'm showing the game, it probably ended well, right? Kevin, a few words about him. We're friends. He's a very nice guy to play and to hang out. We've gotten together a few times and played blitz over beers, and Panera we go, or a couple of bars, and we just hang out. Very kind guy, very nice guy. He, being a psychologist himself, he's one of the most tolerant people when he loses a game. Tolerant, as in most people are bitter. They shake their hand and they shake your hand and storm outside the tournament hall very quickly. I've done that. It's painful to lose a chess game, right? But Kevin somehow doesn't take it too seriously. So that's a true gentleman, and he understands you win some, you lose some. Anyway, this is a longish intro, but this is the 4th round, and I forget. I want to say we were both at a perfect score, so 3 out of 3, which makes this an important game. I think that was the case. It's been a long time, but okay. So here comes the if I can open my chess space. Okay. So here comes e4, e6, d4, d5. This is called a French defense, and Kevin always plays this. And for this one, I prepared an interesting sideline. So bishop d7. He sometimes plays offbeat lines like this. Take, take, queen b6. Okay, so the pawn's attacked. The point is, normally you can't take this pawn if the bishop isn't here, because of this bishop b5 check. Let me show you an example. If he were to play queen b6 here, and I could play bishop d3, point being it's a trap. It's a very well-known trap. Take, take, take would be a big mistake, because I can take, take, and bishop b5 check, you see the queen is not defended, and I'm giving a check. Whatever you do, I'll probably take first and then take the queen and win the game. Now, Kevin put the bishop on d7 first. Of course, this is well known, so he knows this trap. Every French player knows this trap. And now the pawn's actually attacked. So if I play an empty move, which I did in the game, I sacrificed the pawn, but But the pawn is actually hanging because you see the bishop b5 move doesn't give check. So it doesn't work. So in this position, then, you can try to defend the pawn, but how exactly, right? It's not that comfortable to do that. Bishop e3 would undefend the b2 pawn. Bishop c2 looks awkward. Maybe queen a6 is an annoying move to prevent castling. I don't know. Maybe knight b4. It's odd. You either put the bishop on e2 in one go. Like, you don't play bishop d3 and c. I don't know. Maybe some lines are like that, but looks artificial to me. My idea was just to give the pawn up, just castle. He did take the pawn, and knight d2. And there's another line which goes like something like this. You take the knight here, knight c3. So white gives up even 2 pawns. Take this one too, and just try to attack. For example, here, black has to be careful. This is already hanging and probably losing. Even if not losing, black's in dire straits, difficult to defend. He can go all the way back, but still we take. Bishop d6, h3. White has enough compensation for the pawn. And another line might be a6, queen e2. I have this line in my analysis. Whatever white does, he has compensation. Whether that's enough is debatable. But here, engine shows around 0. A little bit better for black, but really about equal. Unclear. Equal is very difficult to say in this position, but maybe castle and the dust settles more or less. But here, queen e2 is winning. Okay, the bishop hangs. There's a lot of tricks that one has to know. But I played the relatively lesser known knight bd2. I have a feeling Kevin didn't know, or maybe didn't remember what to do. Although he played reasonably. So you can take. There's many moves. You can take. You can go back. He went back, which makes sense. Knight b3 just developed very naturally, and there is, I don't know if it's enough compensation, but serious compensation for the pawn. Probably enough. So knight e7, bishop e3, and already everything is developed, and because of this pin, black cannot take this. If I can do my arrows properly, he cannot. Oh, I'm not good at this. He cannot do this, and it's a bit awkward to play. So knight g6, and here rook e1. Please take my pawn. And if you do, I take. So we're now down 2 pawns, right? 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're down 2 pawns. But knight c5. Black is still underdeveloped, whereas all of our pieces are mobilized. So Stockfish is showing around 0, whatever that means. But a sample line can go bishop e7, b4, castle. Castle? Oh, sorry. Castling is impossible because bishop hangs. But rook c8, maybe. And then take. b5. And white is doing very well. Again, maybe it's about equal. Maybe black can hold, but it's easier to play for white than black. Let's just say that. So rook e1, this was the position, and Kevin didn't take, which I think is a wise choice. And here I play an interesting move. Now, if you were to think which bishop is the better one for black, this one or this one? It's this one, right? This dark squared bishop is the better bishop. Well, the reason is very simple. These pawns are all on the same square as this bishop, making it a really bad one. And this is actually a chronic bad French bishop that everyone wants to get rid of. So what we don't want to do is something like knight c5, which is a fine move. But if your idea is to take this one, that's a bad idea. Because you just spent 2 moves to take black's bad bishop. That doesn't make any sense. What you want to do is... Okay, knight c5 is fine, not with the idea of taking. But I played bishop c5. The idea makes sense. Well, by the same token, my bishop, it was an okay bishop. But this e5 pawn, you could say, was blocking my bishop's mobility a little bit. So this makes a lot of sense. And he takes, take, and now see how the dark squares around the king are really weak. If he castles, I forget what I would do. Black's harmony is really not great. This knight looks a bit stranded, and it's prone to moves like h4, h5, knight g5 and queen h5 is an idea. White has a lot of strong attacking chances. So one idea can be, this is the Stockfish line, h6, take, or even take here. So both are interesting. Maybe he saw these and he didn't castle. He played knight f4. A strange move, but he's trying to stir it up and get some counter chances, which makes sense. I kept my bishop. When you're attacking, you want to maintain pieces. And I claim that this knight is not the best piece ever. But now this lashing out like g5, which happens if you're on the back foot, you want counterplay. But this is not working. And the pawn could be taken, but I didn't want to give him the open line, and maybe he can then castle, although there's a stroke here, so maybe not that easy. The truth is, White's doing fine here. You can take, amazingly, give up this pawn, but who wants to calculate this, right? He can take, king h1, and I guess that's the end of the attack, but there's knight g2 you have to calculate, right? Check, here, is losing for White. Apparently I have to do this calm move. I don't want this position. I played the much safer g3. You don't have to calculate anything at all. Knight g6. Actually, knight h3 was possible. King g2, g4, knight d4, and the game goes on. Stockfish is showing +3 for White, so I'm doing well. He went back, and I made an interesting choice here. I took, which is very practical. Take, knight take. I'm up. Sorry, I'm not up a pawn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Pawns are equal. But notice he can't castle. If he does, I can just take here and win the game. This is a lot of material. Also, lining up your king, the queen's already lined up at the rook. If you also line up your king, that's asking for trouble. b4 also wins, because I'm playing b5 next. At a6, probably I insist with a4. Sorry, a4. And b5 is coming. So, okay, it's difficult to find moves for black, and rook h5 kind of supports that idea, right? It's difficult. h4, and I'm asking my opponent to find a move. Queen b6, queen f3. Now, when you're looking for candidate moves, it's always good to identify weak targets in the opponent camp. Now, he cannot castle, at least not comfortably, and this is the Achilles heel, right? It's currently defended only by the king, and I'm attacking with the knight. Now, if I bring the king, the queen as well, now it's attacked twice. And how do you defend it, right? It's not that easy. Actually, the only way is knight d8, and that's not a good knight. Okay, so after this point, my conversion, well, this is +7 already. Wasn't the best, but and I was running out of time too. Couldn't find it, and I played a3, which doesn't spoil anything at all. But there was a better way. So I saw the line. You might want to calculate this. Does knight f7 work? So take a second. What's the idea with this? So pause the video if you want to. There are two options for black. I hope you saw knight takes f7, knight takes d7, which was my idea, king takes, queen f7, and white wins, because we not only gain our piece back, but we win a whole rook, and you're getting mated in short order. However, I wasn't sure what to do against this one. Knight check, right? Maybe you saw this far, but did you see what to do? Okay, this is a fork, very nice. If the king moves somewhere, you can take and you're happy, right? But in the game, I remember seeing queen takes d6, and if I take back naively, he just takes, and now black is winning. Black won a piece. The bishop is extra. And somehow I missed that I can do a counter punch. Queen takes f5. Very, very nice. And now if you take, I take. And the difference is we're up the exchange, right? And there's no Zwischenzugs. The Zwischenzugs. No intermediate moves, right? So queen takes c5, for example. We're piling up the intermediate moves, which is very cool. This would work on, but this is a showstopper right now, right? And now we take wins. So winnings, winning. This wins. This really wins. But it's interesting, like queen d6, queen f5, queen c5, queen c5, queen g6, right? That's really cool. So I should have seen this, but I think today I would have. But back then, also down in time, I just played a3. It's fine. When you can't find the win, don't rush. Take your time. All good. His hands are tied. You'll get there. Queen b5, as you can see, black is really having a hard time finding moves. Queen f6, bring it closer. Knight f7, was it working now? Well, it's not, right? Because if I do this, now queen takes. And amazingly, actually, white is still much better after queen f6. Still, oh, sorry, I apologize. I didn't see this right. We're just down, and forget about that. We're just down a piece and actually losing. Okay, don't lose a piece. There's no need. So queen b5, queen f6, just inching a little bit closer. b6, and now, please stop the video and find a mate in 5. Well, practically mate in 5, but find the winning move for white. Pause the video and find it. Did you pause the video? Okay. So, what did I say a second ago? What's the weakest point in black's camp? This one, right? So, let's reverse engineer the whole logic that went through my mind. What's the defenders for this square? King, knight, right? Now, we can't distract the king. Well, we would like to mate the king, but we can't distract it from the defense of the pawn. But we can distract the knight, right? How can we do that? That's the move. Knight b7. Now, try to find the mate. What I meant with mate was after this move. So this is move 24. I gave mate on move 29. So mate in 5 after this. And he practically has to take. Stockfish is showing mate in 10, and queen a5 is the best move. So that tells you what's going on, right? Knight b7. Did you see the mate? So queen f7, check. I played king d8, queen f8, check. Bishop e8. Everything is forced. Knight check. King up. Rook comes in. king e6, and the final move of the game, queen f6, it's checkmate. So from start to finish, there was a strategic flow of white giving up some material, a pawn, even two in some lines, and the compensation we got was good development, active pieces, and their dark squares were really weak, and king was weak. So full compensation and then some. We then gained some material in the end, right? We gained some pawns back. If we go back, we gained this pawn back, right? And it was actually equal pawns, but their position was far worse. So we ended up winning. Okay, well, hope you enjoyed this. I don't remember what I did in the rest of the tournament. I think I ended up winning, but I might be wrong. But this game was one of the smoothest games I ever played until that point. All right. Thanks for listening. Hope you got something out of it.